Good morning again, and welcome to America's Home Cooking. I'm going to make the ultimate cream tomato soup. Now, you can buy the canned tomato soups, but you know, they put ketchup in it and sweeteners in it. And this is where I bought those cans of tomatoes. I told you I spent $8. So what we're going to need is we're going to adjust our oven rack to the upper middle portion. Remember how I talk about the 1/3? We have to move it up to the 1/3 level of your oven. I love drying these things in the oven. Makes my job so much easier. And you're going to set your oven temperature to, I just flipped the page, to 450 degrees. Okay, now what we're going to do is you need a rimmed baking sheet, and you have to line it with foil for what we're going to do. You know those 2 cans of tomatoes, the 28 ounces? We're going to open these. We need these. I use different can openers, just depends upon which one I want to use at the time. Open both your cans. There is a mushroom soup I want to make, which just sounds delicious. I might make that one tomorrow or the next day. I was reading it, so I wanted to make this one. Peeled tomatoes, that's all I wanted. I wish I had more canned ones, but tomatoes have been so expensive. When you're on a budget, it doesn't always work the way you want it to. Drain board. Where do I want to put these right now? I think we're going to have to drain these. Saying, what is she doing? Can I do this? Yeah, I want to get to the tomatoes is what I want to do, so I have to strain them so I can get to the tomatoes. And what you're going to do is spread these tomatoes on your baking sheet here with the foil. That's what I'm doing. Okay, that's 1 can. You don't want the juice. All what you want are these tomatoes. We'll do the juice later. Believe it or not, we actually will be using it. Just put it to the side is what you're going to have to do while we take care of these. We'll just move right along. Some of them are actually cut open. Really cut open. I want to say butchered at this point. But they're organic It's just like me having mine, so. Oh. We're gonna need it, that's why. Where did I put those things? Don't worry, I know my kitchen. Though I look unorganized, I'm not. I know exactly where everything's at. Put the juice to the side. Now I have to start cleaning up my mess so I can maneuver here. Now to these tomatoes, we need 1.5 tablespoons of dark brown sugar. And what are we going to do with it? We are going to sprinkle evenly with brown sugar, and then we're going to bake until all the liquid has evaporated and the tomatoes begin to color, which is going to take about 30 minutes. So we need 1.5 tablespoons. And you know, when you measure the dark brown sugar, you have to press it in. Okay. If you want to see what I'm doing, I'll show you. It's 1 tablespoon, and I need 1/2 tablespoon. So see, the one thing buying the can, if I bought it and read it to you, what's in it, you would be surprised. I bet you'll find some stuff that doesn't belong in it. Okay, so when your oven gets up to 450, you're going to stick it in the oven just like this, and we're going to let them cook. All that liquid is going to evaporate, and they're going to start to become a beautiful color. And let's see what we can do while that's going on. All right, we're going to have to start chopping. We need to chop 4 large shallots. So we're going to be mincing them. So we'll go ahead and do that while the oven and everything's going. It's not a lot of chopping, so I have a smaller board here. As you can see what's happening to my boards? They all do that. I really work on all my cutting boards. So I've got 4 big ones. 1, 2, and 3, 4 here. So this is a staple, something you should have in the house if you're, you know, doing other cooking than you're accustomed to. You would eat these. Okay, we've got the tomato sauce next to you, believe it or not. We've got it sitting right there. I don't need the brown sugar anymore. Let's see if I can make some room here. We're also going to do some sherry and heavy cream with this. This is a very, very nice one that we're making. And as they say, the ultimate And I read this and I said, oh yeah, this is an ultimate of tomato soup. So I'll be buying some things that I won't use. I'll throw them into the trash. But so I can bring them home and read them to you, because I can't read them in the store. I can pull my phone out, you know, and check something out that I'm buying, but I can't just sit there and do a video in the store. So I might have to bring some things home, and as fast as I read it to you and explain what it is, you'll be seeing the trash. Is it wasting money? Of course it is. But that's to show you, to help you. And sometimes sacrifices are given for some people to help them. So I will do that for you. A lot of women are waking up and saying, wait a minute, if these diseases weren't popular then, why are they now? And I am so happy to hear that. We're waking up to what the government has done. And I think Bobby Kennedy Jr., I have to call him Junior because I remember his father. So I'll call him Junior, though you know him as Bobby Kennedy. For the health of this country, he's on the right path. He really is. I'm so happy to hear that from him. Of course, big businesses that run the food industry aren't going to like him very much. But that's all right. He's been through a lot. This will be a lot of Charlotte in it. Every time I open one, you get parts of the whole thing. I still think that's a lot. Okay. Put your tomatoes in now. And we will let them do what they have to do while we start mincing everything up. You know how good that is going to smell? I can't wait. I am really excited about this. Now there's one big one. There's two in it. There's another big one. This one with this one. Now it's, yeah, well, anyway. Now we're going to start mincing. Now mince means, like I said, to chop very finely. I'm going to do that and I'll be back when I'm done. I bet you thought I was going to chop all these up. Nope, it's just that you have two of them in them, and they wanted 4 big ones, so I had to separate them and peel them to get to what I wanted, but I'll just put this in here and use them for another day. Okay, we're going to have to wait for that now. So we'll just have to wait. Okay. Here are the tomatoes. You've got to get them off this foil and put them in a bowl. said, you might have to peel them off. Just be patient when you take it off. I'm going to do that right now. Okay, you're going to put 4 tablespoons of butter in a saucepan. And you're going to turn it on and we're going to melt this butter just till it's foamy. And then we're going to add the shallots. You know, as it melts, how it starts to build that foam up before it gets really hot. That's what you want. I'm sorry you're not going to be able to see me because I'm actually working behind you, but I will tell you everything that I am doing. You have to wait. Now the reason wooden spoons are excellent for your pots is they don't scrape them. They do recommend using them. I think some of the best pots are stainless steel and cast iron. And the one I know that lasts the longest is cast iron. Now you want it to foam some before you put the scallions in. We're going to add allspice and tomato paste at the same time. Plus they want a pinch, a tablespoon of the tomato paste and a pinch, which is just a little allspice. Then they want you to turn this down to low and simmer while we cook the shallots until they're tender. So I turn my heat down now, mixing all this together, and we're just going to wait until they get nice and soft. That pinch of allspice gives it a nice smell, by the way. I know it's different than what we're accustomed to, because tomato soup is one of my favorites. I've got like 6 different ones I have made. This one I'm making for the first time, so this is like really going to be a new one for me. But it sounds so good just the way it was put together. I said I have got to do this. Now you use a low flame so the shallots don't burn. That's what you don't want them to do. Okay, so now we have to wait again. So I'm going to go read again. I'm in the room with you. It's just that I have to go everywhere else to get where I'm going. bringing you back over here again. I know they said don't use tomatoes in a puree, but I get the tomatoes that I can get that do not have that chemical. I mentioned calcium chloride because of what it does. Matter of fact, I recognized some of the symptoms my husband had. I said, oh, great. This is why I say I've learned from my mistakes, because I didn't know medicine counteracted what I was doing, and I didn't think the government was giving us poison or allowing companies to give us poison. So I learned the hard way, losing my husband. So I'm going to put 1.5 cups of chicken stock in here. Okay. I'm going to make sure I'm doing this right. And I am going to change, this is where the recipe is going to get, well, I'm already changing it. I shouldn't say that. I'm going to add 1/4 of a cup of bone broth. If you don't have bone broth, it's 1 3/4 cups of chicken stock. Okay. Okay, I'm going to bring you back over here again. I know you're probably saying, look, I'm getting dizzy. I'm sorry. Now you're cooking the shallots until they're tender, okay? Keeping an eye on them. When they get tender, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of flour. This already smells good. So see, sometimes when I have recipes, I'm so careful now. I try to do as much canning as possible. If I have to buy something at the store, if it has something and I can't find it without that ingredient, which is harmful, I don't use it. You see, I thought I was talking to a nutritionist at the hospital, and they said, oh, these are some of the best diets you could ever get. I found out that was the biggest lie in the world. They lie through their teeth. It's just like my doctor. When I saw him, he said, you are. I mean, he talked to me like a wife, like he had authority over my body to tell me I'm going to do what he tells me. And I told him without saying one word. I gave him a look, put my hand on my hip and just looked at him. He said, do you hear me? And I didn't answer him. I refused. If you don't ask me what I've done, how can you sit there and judge? You have to ask. Somebody might have made a mistake, you know? Okay, add your 2 tablespoons in. Now they do not want you to use a spoon anymore. They definitely are stating they want you to use a whisk, so we're going to be using a whisk at this point. Okay? Because they whisk this flour in really thoroughly. This really has an interesting smell. Put your broth in. Chicken stock. Put your liquid in. How much liquid am I supposed to put in here? Make sure. You want 3 cups of juice reserved? Okay, let me see if I have 3 cups. Well, I have 2. So I'm going to add a cup of water to this I should add more chicken stock to it, I think. But they say to add water, so I'll add water. You're supposed to add 3 cups of liquid from your tomatoes. I didn't quite, so I took care of it. And they want you to add this in as well. This is really tomatoey. Oh my goodness. There is a lot in here. Well, they want you to bring this up to a boil. Okay, Basil, you can come out. Okay, so we're going to bring this to a boil now. Keep an eye on that pot for me. Okay, gotta bring it up. You know, when we're done making this, it can actually be frozen up to 2 months. Isn't that interesting? Or you can stick it in the refrigerator for 3 days, you know, so you don't have to eat it right away when you make this, which is really nice. We just have to wait for this and we'll continue. Okay, so after I do this, okay. No. I had noticed something, that a lot of people assume sickness is part of old age. It's a standard thing. I think it's coming from, we have been indoctrinated to think that because you're old, you have to be sick. I don't believe that. I believe differently, that when you're getting ready to be called home, I consider heaven home, so when I say home, this is what I mean, we're leaving the earth. When you're called home, your time is up. But they are slowly, from the time we're born, they start giving us medicine, and it's like a slow death. I'm talking from experience. I watched his father I watched his mother. I just keep watching, but I questioned everything I saw. I'm not saying you don't need medication, you don't need surgery. I have had massive surgery. I did need it because a mechanical problem went wrong with my body and it had to be corrected. But because I got a hold of doctors who weren't really very good the first time, they blotched up a lot of it. They blotched it so bad that I had turned yellow. My eyes, my nails, this was all the signs of liver problems. So there are times when you need doctors, but there's a lot of doctors out there that don't know their business. And I really walked into a hornet's nest of them at that time in my life. And when I finally got to a good doctor, it took them almost 12 hours to do all the correcting that they messed up on, which was a simple surgery. It's getting ready to boil. So I'm getting ready, then we have to turn it down and simmer it for 10 minutes. Then we'll finish putting this together. So there are times when you do need medicine, but the way we are taking it, it's like you walk into the doctor's office and he's going to give you a pill. It's like A, B, C, D. We did not have the diseases that we have today. Yesterday, we didn't. The biggest thing is the heart would give out. It was time to die. You were going home, you know. That's how I look at it. But now we have so many things going wrong. They sit there and say, cancer is a disease. It's not a disease. Your body's protecting itself. I've mentioned this before, and I'm not the only one stating it on YouTube or on the internet. They are talking. People are talking. Radiation gives you cancer. So my question is, why are you giving somebody who's got cancer radiation? There are seeds out there that have two compounds that sit there and kill cancer. And the tumors you get is your body defending itself. It's packing it into a sack and white cells are around it, making sure they don't come out like a prison. But then the doctor goes in and takes a biopsy. He makes a hole and it spreads throughout your body. And besides, you have more than one kind of tumor, you know. Doctors don't tell you. You have a fatty tumor, and they're fat. Literally, they're nothing but fatty tumors. Then you have the cancer, but you have male and you have female. The female cancers are the ones that spread. I don't want basil in this. It has such a nice smell. So if you open the tumor that's a female, as soon as they get the biopsy, it takes off and starts spreading like wildfire. And you really don't know if you have cancer or not. If the doctor does a tumor and it's fat and he wants to make extra money, he'll just sit there and say, we have to do this and we'll give you radiation. But the people who die from radiation are usually dying from the burn. They're burning and cooking the organs inside from the radiation. We have natural things to cure everything, but we used to produce natural antibiotics in our body. People are getting sick because they're taking the folic acid out of the food. You need folic acid. That's a natural antibiotic. People think it's vitamin C. It's not just vitamin C, it's folic acid as well. Okay, now we're going to simmer this for 10 minutes. So you don't have to believe what I say. You can look it up. Everything I talk about, you can look it up and see. If you question me, look it up for yourself, see what it says. But these people who are in the profession are literally coming out and said, look, this is what happens. Don't think it doesn't, you know. I'm not saying no to medicine. I'm saying no to a lot of it that is unnecessary. I watched my husband, the doctor and I fought tooth and nail. I mean, I screamed at the doctor. I broke the VCR. I threw the television. I was quite mad, as you could see. And I almost ripped it off the wall because it was one that was on the wall. I was really bad. I told my husband, you start taking this. His doctor says it's one little pill. I said, you're going to kill my husband. He said, but Sandy, it's one little pill. I knew him by first name, so I was going to call him by his first name. I didn't call him doctor because we were all friends. I said, it will be the beginning of the end for my husband. He says, it's one little, he says, look, it's a tiny, dinky little pill. I said, it'll kill him. It will kill him. I buried my husband. That's why I don't trust. And then when he passed, I learned about medication, that it blocked all the nutrients I was giving him. It was blocking. I said, why is he having digestive problems? I would give him digestive aids with oxbile. I gave him acidophilus. Now this is supposed to cure any ulcers and problems that you have, right? It wasn't doing it. I couldn't understand what I was doing wrong. I said, oxbile in a digestive aid, you take it every time you eat, it will clear this problem up. It didn't. They gave him antacids. It ate his stomach. It came to the point where he couldn't even eat. It was that bad. So I know. And then when it got real bad, first off, the doctor claimed they were going to take care of my husband. I thought I was better at it than they were. And I noticed when he got real bad, you know what they did? They said, put him in a nursing home and take him home. It's over with. I said, when I read my husband's PDR after he went, because he wouldn't let me get my hot little hands on it at the time, and I read what it did, I realized they were poisoning him to death. And if I knew what I knew today, I would have thrown every medication and script he got down the trash. He was better off living his life to the fullest without the medication until it was time for him to go home, instead of torturing him the way they did. I mean, he was seeing the doctors like every 3 months, every 2 months, and then they were talking about, oh, now he's having problems with his kidneys. And I said, if he's having problems with his kidneys, that goes back to the liver. You know, I'm going through my head. And I said, why is his blood clotting? I said, that shouldn't be happening. Not with the way I'm feeding him. It shouldn't. I didn't know that the nutrients that I was giving him to prevent the blood clots, they put him on blood thinners, which blocked the natural way. And then he had an injury in his leg, and because it was soft tissue damage sometimes takes forever to heal. They came and said, oh, he's got this clot in his leg, a knot. Well, it was really a knot, but they called it a clot, and they said, oh, we're going to have to amputate his legs. I said, what are you worried about? He has had that over 20 years. He had a car accident. I was in the car with him. You know, I remember when this happened. We've been dealing with it all this time. I mean, it was like they didn't want to hear that. What they wanted to do was cut his leg off. And I said, no, you're not going to do it, you know. Anyway, so this is a lot of things that brought me to this point of making things the way I do, as nutritious as I can. And I avoid medicine, but I won't say never. I'm saying if you truly need it, then by all means, but just don't do it at a whim. Oh, I got a cold, I got to get antibiotics. Oh, I sprained my ankle, I got to get this fixed. I got to go see the doctor. See, I got to have time off because I hurt my hand. I mean, come on now. It comes to a point where you take responsibility and realize that you're going to work, because if we didn't have this and you were on a farm, if you hurt yourself, you still had to get out there and care for the cattle, care for the grounds, to make sure there's food in the house, and there's meat on that table, the clothes would still have to be done and everything else. You still get up. But today you hurt yourself and, oh, I got to go home. If I trip, I'm going to get up and continue. I'm not going to go say, oh, I hurt myself on your property. Oh, I'm going to sue you. Get over it. This has a very nice smell to it. Things happen, but people are just looking to do, I don't know. But anyway, so don't think that I'm totally against medicine. There's a time and a place. And the time and place is not every day. If you have a headache, probably because you've been drinking, or you haven't rested, or something like that. But if people would look at the food that they're eating, and remember, these were not problems that we had before. Menopause was like a day or two, and that was it. Now I know some women who go through it for years. Something's missing in the diet. Now that I know very well that if you do not eat well and drink and drugs and party and wear your body down, by the time and have children and don't eat well through each child you have, you're diminishing nutrients in your body unless you eat really healthy. Menopause is going to be horrible on you. I went through menopause. It wasn't bad, very short. And if you are having problems, you should be taking Red Clover Blossom 3 times a day. If you take Red Clover Blossom, that whole flower is nothing but estrogen. So it would be giving you the estrogen. And if you ate well throughout your life, you will find out what happens is the ovaries, remember when you first started, you had the cramps and you were irritable and everything. Well, the thing is that you have the reverse going on because the other glands carry till the ovaries matured. Now, it's going backwards. The ovaries are shutting down, and the glands that you have, if you have eaten well, they will produce the estrogen like they did when you were little and carry you through that. So you shouldn't have that problem as big as it is today. But that's because of all the medications, because of all the drinking, because of all the drugs, and the chemicals they're putting in our food has driven us to this point. And men, they're developing breasts because they're playing with the hormones in these things. I mean, when we were growing up, little girls, as we were becoming women, believe you me, we were not stacked out to here like these young ones today. We were small when we had children. Well, they got a little larger because we breastfed and stuff. So there's hormones going on, and this is when they were playing with hormones. And I remember the article they had on the news that they had printed in the magazines as well, that they had put hormones to the cows to produce more milk, and they were doing it in Puerto Rico. And what happened, they noticed, was the Puerto Rican, this is fact, I'm not picking on any race, is that the hormones were causing the girls to start a menstrual cycle 2 to 3 years earlier, and their breasts were 2 to 3 times the size they should have been. Now this was reported there, and then they brought that information, but people didn't assume, and they slowly wheeled it in, and you can now see the results of that as well. So when you're old and you have that time frame like I have, you can see what's going on, and that's why the older people, sometimes the younger people, should listen to the older people, and they can tell you this kind of information, how it used to be for us and how it is today. Anyway, we got 1 more minute. I am going to need my blender out. Safety mechanism, do not plug your blender in until after you put the lid on it. I learned that from my mother her hard way. She didn't put the lid on, hit the button, it was plugged in, and she got burnt with barbecue sauce all over. And it was on the ceiling, windows, the walls. She had a mess to clean up. But she made me get out of the kitchen to make sure in case anything went wrong. She didn't want me in the kitchen with the blender going. She must have known what she was going to do. Okay, it's been 10 minutes. Okay, here we go with bowls again. Let's see, is this gonna hold it? Now I have to think about what I'm gonna do. Yeah, this should do it. Gonna find my strainer. They want you to strain this. Really rinse this out some. I just don't want to get another pot out, that's why I'm rinsing it. Okay. Yeah, we're straining it now. And it's hot, so do be very careful you don't burn yourself. You know what? That's enough. I'm not going to burn myself. Come on. I know. I am making a mess. Pour your liquid back in. We're going to blend this up. There's a few extra steps, but it's still nice. Sometimes in the kitchen you do make messes, okay? Pour this in. Yeah, I got a mess. But it's okay. I'll clean it up. I always do. All right, now we're going to add to this. All right. We're going to put a half a cup of cream in this. And heat it up. And then adjust it. Boy, I have used a whole quart of heavy cream and the cream I packed up. I can. Now you're going to, I'm going to take a spoon from here. Listen, I'm dirtying a lot of dishes up. Okay, let me get you all. I'm going to have to keep you back here some because I did make one heck of a mess. Well, let's see if I can get you up closer. Okay, I just poured the half and half. I mean, the heavy cream in here. Doesn't that look nice? This really is one of my favorite soups. I love tomato soup. Now, you don't want the cream curdle or anything, so you put it on a low flame. Now, we're just going to heat this up. Now, when you go to serve it, you adjust the salt and the cayenne pepper that's going to go on it. Okay? As soon as we heat this up, we're putting brandy in it. 2 tablespoons of brandy. Now, if you don't have brandy, you can use sherry. Okay? I want to taste this. I'm going to get a spoon. Oh my God. You know, some things can be a sin. This can be a sin. This is delicious. I haven't even added salt to it yet. I think I'm going to heat it up, add the cayenne and the brandy and stuff, because one son is taking it packed. So I want to make sure he gets that brandy flavor. He's not getting coffee today because I'm going to put this in the thermos. Let me get the salt. Iodized salt with this because I think my kelp mixture, because it has a slight fish taste, might interfere with it, and the bone broth did not interfere with this at all. I mean, it just did not. I was a bit concerned about it, the bone broth, but it did excellent, excellent, excellent. Cayenne, definitely a little heat. Please stay on. Pop off, I'll have a kittens. This is just to give it a little bit of warmth. And we'll put our brandy in here. I'm sure I can hear you men say, oh yeah. Once you put the liquor in, the man always agree with you. Oh yes. Now we have to taste it again. See if we need to add more salt or heat to it. And I'll rinse my spoon because I am not going to double dip, and I am not going to pull another spoon out because I have to wash these dishes. So I'm going to be a little merciful on myself. Okay, doesn't it look good? As I say in the South, honey, if you don't try this, you're missing out. Add a little more salt to this. Oh man, a rainy, cold day today. I made the right soup. Yes. And we didn't add any ketchup to this. They also said don't use puree, but I couldn't find one that didn't have that chemical in it that wasn't a puree. Well, the tomatoes in a puree. But I already explained that to you. This is so good. I have to wait till later to eat. Oh. Oh, sherry would go well with this too. Adding the cayenne gives a little bit of heat in the back of your throat. Just a little, not much. So don't add too much if you're unaccustomed to cayenne. I mean, with my husband's curries, I learned. I didn't. First time I got it, man, I was at the sink drinking water. Now, this tomato soup is a scent to have. All right, you're hot. The brandy's in here, the cayenne, the salt. That's it. I am done. It is ready to serve. I have a mushroom soup. I think it's cream of mushroom. Oh, they don't put in it. Oh God, but that's delicious. That's the best tomato soup that I have made to date. And I have a lot of recipes, and I always go through all my recipes for people who want a simple one to one who wants a more complicated one. We just sort of go between all of it so everybody can hit their level. And as they get comfortable with that, they can move up to the next level. So anyway, I want you to have a great day. You know I am. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.